It is papal forms of worship, and all the influential people of the world would be worshiping this image. Music would play a part, but God's people would not be deceived nor obey this religion. The decree went forth from Nebuchadnezzar. He commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to do what? Bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to do what? Cast them into the burning fiery furnace. And in Revelation 13:15 we says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So we see the parallel there between Daniel chapter 3 and Revelation chapter 13. Just as the death decree for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, these rebels, these fundamentalists, these Bible bashers, these people who say the Bible and the Bible only, that decree was passed. So in the last days, we see a death decree will finally be passed against those who want to worship according to the Bible and the Bible only. Notice the power of the second beast. He had power to do what? Give life unto the image of the beast, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. In other words, he had power to make people to be convinced that God's people are intolerant. To convince people that God's people are hate mongers, they're anti-unity, and they deserve death. Now that sounds far-fetched, right? But in the year 1610, before the United States was formed as a nation, it used to be colonies of Britain. And in the year 1610, we find this in the laws orders of the colony in Virginia. Every man and woman shall repair in the morning to the divine service and sermons preached upon the Sabbath. Now, this is not the seventh-day Sabbath. This is the papal Sabbath Sunday. Anyway, it says every man should go to church on Sabbath, and in the afternoon to divine service and catechizing, that means to be taught from the catechism, upon pain for the first fall to lose their what? Provision and the allowance for the whole week following, and for the second transgression to lose the said allowance and also be whipped, and for the third transgression to suffer death. So it was already implemented in the colonies of the United States that death if you do not obey the papal Sabbath. So these laws have never been repealed, and they are on most books of the laws of many of the states in America, but they have never been repealed. After the formation of the United States in 1888, this bill was presented in the Senate of the United States by Mr. Blair on the 21st of May, 1888. And it read, be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that no person or corporation or the agent, servant, or the employee of any person or corporation shall perform or authorize to be performed any secular work when? On the first day of the week, commonly known as the Lord's Day. And this was going to be a national Sunday law to prevent people from operating their businesses on Sunday, which according to this man is the Lord's Day, but we know that the Lord's Day is the seventh day, the Sabbath day. This bill, however, was shot down because it was deemed unconstitutional, because it was a law that was religious in nature. The United States Constitution Bill of Rights says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So you cannot enact a law in the United States saying that people must go to church on any day, whether Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It cannot be done because it's a religious law, and Congress cannot establish a law that is in favor of any religion. And as I said, these individual states have these laws, but they are not also put in practice because they are unconstitutional. So the stumbling block to the setting up of these Sunday laws is the Constitution. And since then, there has been constant calls for the institution of Sunday laws and the removal of church and state separation. That is an amendment to the Constitution. We have here a quote from the American Sabbath Union, which has changed its name to the Lord's Day Alliance. And this was in 1913. This organization proposes in every possible way to aid in preserving Sunday as a civil institution. Notice, a religious day as a secular institution. Our national security, oh, that's a word that will get people riled up, right? Our national security requires the active support of all good citizens in the maintenance of our American Sabbath. Sunday laws must be enforced. So in 1913, you think is now they start talking about national security to get people on the side? All the way in 1913, national security was the whipping boy to get people riled up on your side. And then again, our good friend Pat Robertson here in 1991 in his book, The New World Order, said, quote, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy is a command for the personal benefit of each citizen." I agree. Only when people are permitted to rest from their labors can there be progress and genuine human betterment. I agree. Laws in America that mandated a day of rest from incessant commerce have been what? Nullified as a violation of the separation of church and state. The only thing I don't agree with Mr. Robertson on, the only two things are, one, his Sabbath day is not the seventh day. He's talking about the papal Sabbath, Sunday. And he's calling for laws that mandated the day of rest, remember which we read there in 1913 in Virginia, must go to church on the pain of losing your property, being whipped, or the third time, being put to death. He is saying that, oh, I wish these laws could come back because they are only not there because they are a violation of the separation of church and state. So Mr. Pat Robertson is calling for a new world order for people to make an image to the beast. Because the laws that he are calling for are the ones that speak about death decrees. And he identified what is the stumbling block, the violation of separation of church or state, in other words, the Constitution. The congressional documents here stated, the framers of the Constitution recognize the eternal principle that man's relation with his God is above human legislation and his rights of conscience inalienable. That, in other words, they are not given by man, they are given by God. Reasoning was not necessary to establish this truth. We are conscious of it in our own bosoms. And it says they felt that their duty to God was superior to human enactment and that man could exercise what? No authority over their consciences. So that is why within the US Constitution, it was put there that you cannot legislate religion because religion has to do with God, man's relationship with God, and that cannot be legislated by man. So is it a coincidence that right now there's a great outcry for the removal of this separation between church and state? Just listen to the TBN channel. There are many advocates that say, listen, we got to get rid of separation of church and state. And it is when this removal is accomplished, whether it has been done actually or virtually, then the image to the papacy will be formed, because then Protestant America will be indeed an image to the beast. That is, it will be papal in character, though Protestant in name. The Catholic Twin Circle as recently as 1985 said, all Americans would do well to petition who? The President and the Congress to make what? A federal law, an amendment to the Constitution, if need be, to do what? to reestablish the Sabbath as a national day of rest.